Hi, I'm Darielle Snipes with the CMSD News Bureau. Today we're going to hear from CMSD CEO Dr. Morgan. He's been on the job less than a year, and we want to get a feel of what is his vision and what might be some of the hurdles that the district is facing. Welcome, Dr. Morgan.
Thank you for having me, Darielle.
So you've been on the job about 7 months.
Yes.
So what are some of the highlights that you've experienced so far here at CMSD?
I must first say that this is my dream job. Even though it comes with a lot of challenges, and I'll talk about that in a moment, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Lately, I've been getting into schools. I have a goal to get into 90% of our CMSD buildings, and I think this year I'll get into all of them. And just seeing our kids and seeing them engage in instruction is really great. Some particular highlights was, of course, playing my tuba for the winter concert. I really love that. Tap dancing with a CSA student. That was really cool and fun. But then also recently we had the Cleveland State University event where we got a chance to see some of our scholars engage in robotics, and just seeing the high levels our scholars can engage in. It's just incredible. It really makes me fortunate and blessed to lead this incredible system. And I want to make sure that all of our scholars across our city has access to those opportunities. So those have been my highlights.
And they sound great. So those sound like wonderful highlights and experiences so far. So when you started back here at CMSD back in July, you had a 100-day plan with a listen, learn, and lead. Yeah. The first thing that you did was you had a listen and learn tour where you stopped at many places to talk to stakeholders. You wanted to know what was working well in the district and what might need to be improved. So what were some of the common themes, and how many people do you feel that you talked to?
Yeah, so we did about 40 listen and learn tours or stops where I was meeting with people, and altogether it was nearly 2,000. After the State of the Schools alone, we met with almost 600 people, and that's inclusive of that nearly 2,000. And there were many great things I heard. One of the things I heard from our community is how passionate people are about CMSD. People shared about our great programs. People shared about how much they love our district. And so I felt very welcome as the new leader of this system, of people just saying, we love this system. We want to make sure it succeeds. We want to make sure that we work to make the district better. But I did hear several themes. One around culture and climate. That was like the #1 thing that we heard. Making sure that not only our schools are safe, but that the communities are safe and that kids are feeling safe when they're coming to and from school. I also heard about the equitable experience of instruction and rigorous instruction. It really sticks with me. There was a young lady at the State of the Schools, and she didn't come up to the mic and ask this, but she asked it afterwards, and she came up to me and said, all of the schools that I saw in your videos on the State of the Schools, those were private and charter schools. I go to JFK, and she was talking about Gann Academy. She was talking about Garrett Morgan. Both of those schools are not charter. They're not a private school. But her experience was thinking that those were schools that have something different. They have a better experience, and she felt that by going to JFK, she's not getting that experience. And so I heard about that. I heard about making sure that kids have accessible access or equitable access to high-quality programs across our city. The other thing I heard is just how people want to feel engaged and heard, listened to. Depending on the stakeholder of who you are, you may feel that you are heard or listened and valued, and that your feedback is taken in, or that there's a response to that. And so those were things that we really wanted to, hear from. And also briefly, after the State of the Schools, we started asking about budget. And I started talking about our budget reality, and there was a question on how we should prioritize our budget. And you really heard people, again, talk about investing in some of the programs, such as the arts and high-quality curriculum and high-quality program. And so even though we're faced with challenges, these things are top of mind when I think about the future of CMSD.
Well, the second phase of your 100-day plan is learn. So with the feedback, what did you learn, and how did this really shape your vision to lead CMSD?
Yeah, one of the things I was really fortunate to have from the start of our Listen and Learn tour was our Let's Talk platform, which we're about to be rolling out district-wide, and families will have access to it so that we can get this ongoing feedback. But we were able to collect people's thoughts real time about what they wanted, and we were able to use that to capture themes. So even as we did the Listen and Learn tour before the State of the Schools, and I listened to thousands of pieces of feedback and had met with many different people across our entire city, we were taking those themes and saying, okay, what does this mean the future of the district is? And from there, we adopted 5 core values and 5 strategic priorities. And these were the ones that we discussed at the State of the Schools. Those core values being making sure we're a district that's equitable and inclusive, that we're student and community focused on growth and learning, that we have a district of care and well-being, and that we are also a district of excellence and achievement. We mapped out our 5 strategic priorities around culture and climate, rigorous instruction, educator learning, a coherent central system, and then also making sure that we're engaging with our community. So all of these things are things we heard from the community, and we were able to take the things I heard during the Listen and Learn tour and think about what is the path forward for our district, and also creating our goals and measures. So I'm excited that we were able to use that platform to hear from our community, and our community is literally shaping the future of our system.
Wonderful. So the final phase is LEAD,
Yeah.
where we are now. So, but recently you announced at a board meeting the 5-year forecast, which is projected that the district will have a multi-million-dollar deficit.
Yeah.
And many people are asking, how did the district get into this predicament?
Yeah, it's challenging. One of the things that when I first came in, I looked at our 5-year forecast with our Chief Financial Officer. And I want to remind our community, when we presented our 5-year forecast, the deficit that we're projecting now was projected in the past administration. You go back to past board meetings, you see the 5-year forecast was there. Also, we've talked about ESSER. There was almost $500 million of ESSER funds that we received from the federal government to help us recover from the global pandemic. And those are funds that were able to help us get through a really extraordinary time, but those funds end this year. So that deficit that was predicted, before, and the loss of the funding has us in a gap. And starting next year, we have over a $140 million deficit that will grow year over year if we don't make tough decisions. And it's tough, when I think about the challenges we have to face and the cuts we need to make. And I think about all the programs I talked about that people love, and the tough decisions that we have ahead of us. It literally keeps me up at night. It is very tough. But we have to submit a plan to the state. The state said, because your 5-year forecast is showing this, that you will be in a deficit for multiple years, you need to show us that you're fiscally sound. And so we're taking the feedback, but with the feedback, we have to make decisions. And not everyone's going to be happy about the decisions. Even when you're listening and learning, it doesn't mean everyone's deciding. And, that as the seat that I sit in, I have to make those decisions, and they're tough decisions. We're going to take in all the feedback that we can to get it right. But this is a process that we're in together. And so we're utilizing our upcoming board meetings to talk about our state deficit plan, to talk about some of the plans we'll do to get us in the black. And we look forward to just continuing to hear from our community about how we can make our system better.
And so you just mentioned it, though, but you and the board and your staff, you're working hard to try to create a plan. Is there anything that you can share right now? I know these are conversations that are ongoing, but what can staff or families look to hear? Yeah,
so I'll talk about it in 2 phases. So one, we're going through this process of the state plan. And so I'll talk a little bit about some of the things you may see in the state deficit plan. But then I want to talk about the future, because as we look backwards, we look at our deficit, that's looking in the rearview mirror. I want to look forward, and I want to talk about what does the future of CMSD look like, what does the Dr. Morgan administration look like, under my leadership. And so a few things. In the state deficit plan, you will see many programs that, because we had COVID relief funding, that we were able to do. One of the commitments when I came into this system, I made 2 commitments. I said I wanted to protect schools as much as possible. I talked about that instructional core. And I wanted to think about ways that we as a central office can reduce our budget and think about ways that we can protect schools at that. So even though there will be some programming that touch students, I'm happy to say that in our plan, school-directed budgets, so budgets that school leaders and schools actually have control over, will be remaining level. And all the other programming that sometimes impacts schools, but is directed at central office, those are the programs we're looking at. Many of them that came because we were able to have COVID relief dollars. It was one-time dollars. And even the federal government said that these programs were not going to be able to continue forever. So I'm all ears if people have solutions. That's one of the things you hear lots of complaints and challenges, and I'm like, what solutions do we have? What solutions do we have in terms of a path forward? So as we announce a plan, I'll be looking for solutions on how we can continue these programs or how the programs can adapt. The other thing you'll see is actually direct cuts to central office. We're actually looking at not only a reduction in some of our programming, but reduction in staff. And these are tough decisions, really, really tough decisions, but those that are necessary. Now, when I talk about the future, because even though we're making these cuts, I made these cuts in conjunction with our team. So we worked together to make these decisions and recommendations, but it was thinking about everything that I shared before around our strategic priorities, our goals, and also our core measures and core values. Everything was taken into account. When I think about the future of CMSD, I want it to be a system where students don't have to say, I need to go to that school or I need to travel so far to get this high quality program. You know, there were programs we were able to do during COVID, but no one's asking the question why not every 8th grade student in CMSD has access to Algebra 1. Or why does not every middle school grade student have access to a foreign language? Or why we don't offer fine arts and band or orchestra in every school? We need to ask these questions. Even some of our sports programs are not offered in every school. What would that look like? What would it look like that no matter where you went to school, you had a high quality program and high quality access to some really high quality curricular options that will set you on a trajectory not only to high school success, but also college success. And those are the questions I want to begin to answer. And even as we're making some of these challenging decisions, there are ways we can think about how we answer these questions so that our students are literally getting more. I know that's one of the things we talked about during the pandemic, but are literally getting more, but has equitable access to these programs across the board.
So I know along those lines, you're doing a lot of the planning. So for families that are like, yes, I hear this, I want this, is there a timeline of when something like that might happen, especially as you're planning for the post-pandemic world?
Yeah, it's a great question. So 2024 is a big year for us. When the new year started, I met with our executive leadership team and I mapped out all the things we have ahead of us. First thing that's ahead of us is the state deficit plan. So we have to get past the state deficit plan. We have to get a budget, make some tough decisions. But then we need to start doing the future planning and the long-term planning, not only looking at our facilities, but our programming. And as I talk to teachers and I talk to school leaders across our system, people ask the questions, why don't we have a unified curriculum? Or why don't we have curricular options? Or what is the minimum option that every CMSD student gets no matter what school that they're a part of? And those are the questions we'll begin to answer. And it is a longer process because the first stage of the process is us gathering our data, gathering the information, putting some different information out there. I would anticipate that at this next stage of the schools this year, we'll be talking more about this future vision and what this could look like, for our schools and the programs of schools across the city, and then hoping to bring that information to the board. For the board to give us feedback and approve before the end of the calendar year, not the school year, but the calendar year. And so this is a multi-year process for how we will look at it, but we're just beginning the phase of answering those questions, taking those inputs from the Listen and Learn tour, but really transforming our district and thinking about how not only does it look different, but it feels different. And also, I want to remind you about the core measures we said. We have to keep our eye on the prize of the goals that we set, and we have ambitious goals, making sure that 90% of our students are graduating high school on time, making sure that our students are not only just growing in their academic learning, but are proficient. So we're pushing ourselves and holding ourselves accountable to these high measures while also transforming what the district looks like.
And so these next few months where you have these difficult conversations and make these difficult decisions, what would you like to say to staff, students, and families as you are prepping the district for greatness?
Yeah. First thing I'll do, and I'm still new in my job. It is still my responsibility to get to know people. So I want to get out into the schools. I still want to get out into the community. I know I did that in the Listen and Learn tour. I want people to get a chance to know me, know my heart. I talked about my core values as a leader, faith, family, continuous improvement, community, and humility. Like, those are at my core. That's what I stand behind. And even as I make tough decisions, even as there are days where there are challenges or days that are really tough, I anchor in on my faith. I think about how this district is my family. I think about how if we're going to do anything great, we have to be in an attitude of continuous improvement. I think about how we need to hold our community and at all times do this with an attitude of humility and grace, because just as much is given, much is required, and it can go away really quickly. And so I take this responsibility very with great weight, and I want the community to know me. So that's one thing I want our staff to know and our community to know, that I want to get to continue to know them. I also want them to know how passionate I am about our kids and about our system. Even though we have tough work ahead of us, we can do all things if we work together. And so I just invite our community in. They've been sharing the feedback, and we love it. We love when we can hear the tough questions and the feedback, but come with solutions. Come with the attitude of saying, hey, let's work together. Because that's what I'm all about. I'm all about, like, how can we work together? How can we get past this hurdle together? And that's what I look forward to. So I know that right now it is a challenging time. The district has been here before and has succeeded, and the district will get past this and will succeed. And so we'll get to the other side, and I'm just looking forward to doing this together with everyone.
And I'm pretty sure everyone is excited to work with you as well. So, well, thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate you. Thank you.